Hi, this is Mike Mendez from Tales of Halloween, and you're listening to Without Your Head.
All right, we have returned. Welcome to Without Your Head, Horror Radio. I am Nasty Neely Jones, the caretaker, along with my right-hand man.
Jeepers, John. Oh, I'm so scared.
Oh, my God.
Jeepers. You think Jeepers or Jittery's better?
I kind of like Jittery.
Jittery, John?
Yeah,
yeah, when you do that sound effect, I think it's better.
Oh, Jittery, John.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay.
It's good stuff. And our left-hand man.
That would make me Terrible Troy, the Grave Digger.
Oh, man. And, all right.
Oh, well, that could kind of work into my character, Jittery John the Embalmer. Because, I'm poking needles into people, and I'm getting them in the wrong places.
Uh-huh.
You accidentally jab yourself in the leg or something.
I heard when you're embalming those bodies, sometimes it's not just a needle you're sticking in.
Hey.
No, don't get me wrapped up into all that shenanigans. I don't want no piece of that.
I meant you were hiding stuff in them.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't talking about anything else. Probably just hiding stuff, like you were saying.
Yeah, playing hide and go seek. Yeah. Now, we're going to have a big guest tonight, Andrew Kasch, the director of Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy, and we hope we still do, but currently he's not called in yet, so we're going to talk about some stuff in the world of horror, and hopefully we'll get him on here.
We're going to shoot from the hip here for a little while, see what happens.
Now, maybe we'll just talk about the documentary real quick. We'll probably talk more about it if we get him on. But It was 4 hours long, and I loved the whole thing. I mean, you think 4 hours, like, oh, that's kind of long. Don't know if I could watch it all at once. I watched the whole thing from beginning to end, and it kind of left me wanting more of it. So to me, that's just like a great compliment.
Well, the first one of these that really popped up was His Name is Jason, which kind of went over the whole series of Friday the 13th films. And I enjoyed that one pretty well, but I have to say, I enjoyed this one a lot better. I think this one took itself more seriously. You got a lot more input into all the movies and everything. I really enjoyed it too, Neil, and I'm glad you recommended it to me. Nasty Neil.
No, as we said before, we're always like a fan of a good documentary, and this one, like, it's so definitive, and they spend like pretty much equal amount of time on each of them. It's not like they talk about, the real good ones a lot, and then it's like by the time they get to the last few, it's just kind of like, and they made this one. They spend a lot of time in each one and make each one seem important, and they interview like the cast members and the crew, all the directors and the guys from New Line Cinema. And, you really see what was going on, like, how quick they made one from the other, and the changes, and what people thought about it, and it's just really well made.
There really isn't anything there that you wouldn't want to know if you're a fan. Earlier today, this is a direct quote from me. I was asking Neil if they covered this in the special features, and this and that, and he was like, yep. And I was like, damn it, they've covered everything. I don't know. I've got nothing on these guys.
Yeah, it sounds pretty impressive. I think I'm going to have to watch this.
Yeah, it's great. And then it's 2-disc set. The second disc is a lot of specials. Sometimes specials, I always like to watch them, but sometimes they leave a lot to be desired. But these have like extended interviews, so pretty much just even a longer portion of the documentary. And then there's all kinds of little mini documentary things. It's just really great stuff. Highly recommended.
Yeah, and if you pick it up off of their website right now, you can get a signed poster by Heather Langenkamp. So I picked one up earlier today. 30 bones for that. Cool. You get the DVD and the poster.
And free shipping.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds like quite a good deal.
$29.99. That's what they're asking.
That's not bad at all. That's ElmStreetLegacy.com. It's not put out by a big studio. So it's, support it, buy it, don't actually pay for it. Good times, and maybe we'll get to see more of them.
You might see a Child's Play or something like that in the future. That's just pure speculation on my part. I don't know if they have anything actually planned, but those are some good series they could do. Maybe a Hellraiser or something like that.
Leatherface.
Leatherface, that would be a good one. Halloween, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Halloween.
Well, I think they did one on Halloween, actually. But
they did?
I don't know if it was by the same people here. It was something like... It was like the 30th reunion of it or something. I forget what it was called, but I've actually seen that one. I just kind of forgot about it. Yeah. But now that you bring it up,
must not have been as good, though, because you guys, haven't mentioned it before.
Well, it was all right. It went over everything, and it was pretty good. Actually, that was probably the first one that I saw. But
okay,
I forget the name.
I think that was good, but I don't think it's as definitive.
Yeah, it jumped around a lot. It definitely wasn't 4 hours long either, like this one. I mean, this one touches on every subject.
Yeah, and they really don't spend a lot of time on a lot of the ones in between. This one, it really spent a lot of time on every single movie.
But I will put that Halloween one over a little bit because they're at a fan fest of some sort, and some girl lifted her top up doing the see anything you like scene, and I got to see some new boobies. So
man.
I'm a fan of that always.
Yeah, that's always good.
If you whip the girls out, I'm always happy with that.
Oh man, if we had webcam right now. You meant the women do it.
No, I'd give you 2 thumbs down for that one, Neil.
So yeah,
probably even 3.
I don't think that other one's a thumb.
It will stay down, I assure you.
I kind of hope so. I think that would be very awkward.
If I was doing 2 thumbs down, but the middle one went up, I'm like, well, I can't explain that. Guess you got me.
I wonder if Siskel and Ebert ever thought of doing something like that.
I don't think so.
No. I think Ebert used to review porn movies back in the day when they were seen as art.
Really?
Nice.
I think he did.
Was porno ever really seen as art?
I think for a little window there it was.
Yeah, I don't think today's incarnation could be considered art of any extent.
Yeah, I think that's what Boogie Nights was about. Was the little window when porno was considered art, an art form. Well, anyway, let's not talk about porno because this is we talk about horror movies there.
Yeah, we're talking about the Never Sleep Again documentary, a fine documentary. We might have the director on later on this evening. We're anxiously awaiting his call. But what can he do?
Yeah, they talked to most of the key players in it. There's, a few exceptions, here and there. It's probably, for whatever reason, they didn't want to do it or they wanted a lot of money. But something I noticed I wanted to talk to him was, I think that the ones that really showed a lot of passion for it, that really seemed like they really liked the franchise, the directors, they made the best films, and the ones that didn't seem like they really cared about the franchise made the lesser of the movies. Yeah.
I would say so. I'd say anybody who was real passionate about it, they definitely would turn out the better sequel. I think Chuck Russell, he did a hell of a job with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. I think that's probably one of the better of the sequels. 3 and 4, that's probably my favorites of the sequels. Of course, I think everybody else is pretty much in agreement with that. I mean, they made the most.
Yeah. The segment on Part 2 is probably the funniest segment on the documentary.
Yeah. There's definitely...
I think that was the most fun.
A lot of humor with that segment because they kind of touched upon how it's kind of seen as an into-the-closet movie.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised, you told me about that, then I rewatched it, because I hadn't seen that one since I was a kid, and, it's, you really see it, and then I was kind of surprised when they talked to him that, it was, intentional, and, they were really aware of it.
Yeah, I believe the writer kind of said, he meant for it to be like that, but the director didn't actually know, so...
Yeah.
He was kind of in the dark.
See, I never knew that until you guys had brought that up before.
I don't see how any director could not be in the know whenever you have like towels whipping a dude's bare ass. I mean, and then you have like you have a gay bar in it. I mean, come on now.
That dance is pretty nice too.
Mm-hmm.
And we will actually have him on the show in a few weeks. Mark Patton, who is the main kid in Nightmare on Elm Street 2. So that's gonna be good stuff.
Hold me, baby, drive me crazy, touch me all night long. How about that? That's the tune from that scene.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Debbie Gibson or something.
Mm-hmm. He's pushing in the thing with his butt. Just good stuff. And he seemed to have a good time talking about it. So
yes, he seems like a great
forward
dude.
to this interview.
Yeah, I think he'll be really entertaining. That would definitely be one for the fans on our website here to check out. WithoutYourHead.com. I'll throw that in there. I know we're on the other stream, the Justin TV stream.
Very nice.
Right. And I've been plugging the Fan Fest page a lot this week, and happy to see like a couple hundred new people joined, and all the fans out there of the show. You can always help out by doing the same thing and suggesting it to your friends, so it'll grow. Mm-hmm. It's good to have more people listen.
Grow.
Exactly.
Grow like the third thumb.
Oh man.
Kind of like the Blob.
Yeah.
Well, the Blob comes out eventually.
All right.
Whoa. They are remaking the Blob.
Again.
Yeah. Gonna be, and
they say nothing like my Blob.
It always seems to me Rob Zombie doesn't want to do these remakes, but yet he's always making remakes. I don't know what the deal is with the guy.
I think
maybe they threatened to murder his family if he didn't.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah.
It would suck.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to do to get Scorsese to make our movie.
Mm-hmm. I think he'd probably do it. Yeah. It was pretty interesting too, Troy. If you watch a documentary, a lot of the people that were connected to the Friday movies but didn't end up doing them, like the guy who made Lord of the Rings.
That would be Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson actually wrote the script to I forget, Freddys Dead, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the original scripts, and they didn't end up using it, but it's just,
that's pretty awesome.
It's pretty out there from what I remember from the documentary. They're talking about Freddy losing all his powers, and he's kind of like this beaten down old man, and kids would actually put themselves to sleep just so they could go and kick Freddy in the ass and stuff. Just like, you ain't nothing, Freddy.
Take on it, though. That is kind of a neat take.
I mean, it would have been interesting to see.
Yeah.
And then, and then Freddy actually manages to, kill somebody finally, and he gets all his power back. Well, some of his power back, so.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty wild. Then as they got, more frightened of him again, he'd get more and more powerful. I kind of like that concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, I think at that point in time, they just decided to do, they want to do kind of a comedy. And his idea, I think compared, if you would have went right from the first one to that, you think, what the hell? But at that point in time, it actually sounded pretty funny. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen it. I don't know what they would have done with it, but it sounded very creative anyway. There was a lot of creative ideas that they had for different sequels that, they didn't end up making.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But if you did have that sequel, you wouldn't have Carlos and his satanic hearing aid. So, I mean, you got to weigh out your options. Which one do you want?
Yeah, that's true.
Do you want Freddy with a chalkboard stretching it out, going, oh, and then dragging one nail down it? Or do you want, Freddy being an old man getting kicked in the ass by kids?
We have a call here. Is this the director? Is this Andrew?
That it is. Hello.
Hello. Okay, let's go to break real quick, and then we'll come back.
Oh, excellent. We'll return here in a bit.
This is Kasch of Tenacious D. You're listening to Without Your Head.
All right, and we have returned back here at WithoutYourHead.com, and now we are joined by Andrew Kasch. I believe I got that right. I probably should have asked before we came back live. The director of Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy. How you doing?
Good. Good to be here.
Did I get the name right?
You did. You're actually one of the few people who have ever pronounced it right, so that's awesome.
Neil, you're the man.
That's the end of the interview. No.
You've done well.
We were telling everybody earlier, you can get the. Can you still get the autographed poster if you order it off the website?
Yeah, that goes up until June 1st. So Heather will, probably has a few cramps in her hands at this point from all the, insane poster signing, but she's still going away. So you have till June 1st to get that.
Yeah, I actually ordered mine last night, so she'll be signing one for me.
Hey. Have any of you guys seen the film yet?
Oh yeah. I watched it, and what I wanted to say was, and I saw a lot of people saying this, like on our Facebook and our message board and stuff, that they watched the whole 4 hours, and I did the same thing just in one sitting, and when it was over, you didn't even realize it was 4 hours, and I think that's like a great compliment. You didn't get bored at all watching, a 4-hour documentary. In fact, like you wanted more and went to the second disc.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's great to hear.
Now, have you been happy with all the feedback you've seen?
The feedback has been unreal. I don't think any of us were expecting the kind of response that we got off this thing. Because, you make a 4-hour documentary, you don't know if anybody's going to sit through that thing. There were times we're like, okay, well, maybe only the most hardcore people will be sitting through all 4 hours, and they'll probably watch it in 5 or 6 chunks or whatever. And we kind of designed the movie to be like that. But to our shock, people are telling us oh yeah, I sat down and watched it in all 4 hours, didn't even know it was 4 hours, and then I started it over again because I loved it so much. It was whoa, that's hardcore. So, the reviews and the fan response have been, I think, all Dan Farron's my co-director, has been working in this business for 20 years. He's like, I have never seen reviews like this ever. Studios would slay their firstborn children to get reviews like this. So that's, it's really cool after all the hard work we put in. And it wasn't easy, I'll tell you that much, but it's been really gratifying.
Yeah. When did you start the project?
We started shooting I believe it was early October or late September. It's all kind of a blur to me now, but ever since then, we worked for pretty much 7 solid months. Every hour out of every day, just nonstop, sealed in a little Elm Street bubble. I had no idea what happened in the outside world during that time, but we just forged away on it. And to give you guys sort of an idea, a feature-length documentary, your average 90-minute movie that, you might see in theaters or something, some Werner Herzog stuff, that probably takes a couple of years in the editing bay, and from start to finish, it was 7 months for a 4-hour thing. So that's I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we got through it alive, but we did.
Yeah. Was there anyone trying to talk you guys into we should make it short, or we should make it 90 minutes, or did you guys want to make it 4 hours? After our experience, because a lot of us worked on His Name Was Jason a couple years prior, and that's when we were initially talking about doing this. His Name Was Jason didn't turn out so great, and it, for a number of reasons. But one of the things, we kind of made a conscious choice, when we sat down to do this, okay, this DVD, it'll be as long as it needs to be. We're not going to rush it out for a release date. It's not going to be a fluff piece. We're not going to have people who weren't involved with the series talking, no fan, commentary in the main feature. We set all these, basic rules. So we didn't pigeonhole ourselves right off the gate. And, originally it was going to be 90 minutes, but after 40, 50 interviews, we started to realize that probably wasn't going to happen. And then 106 interviews later, we were like, okay, how the hell do we get this down below 8 hours? So yeah, it just kind of came organically, I think. Yeah. Actually, since you mentioned that you didn't think that My Name Is Jason turned out really well, I think John had a question about that.
Yeah,
shoot.
Just some of the scenes in it where people were talking about the movies, it seemed a little like they were just goofing around with it. I was just wondering if you made a decided not to go that route on this one.
Yeah, it was pretty conscious. I think a lot of the criticisms towards that documentary were the fact that it didn't really feel like a documentary. It was just kind of like, 90 minutes of people going, Jason's cool. You remember when he killed that guy? And so that we wanted to kind of avoid that route and really dig deep into how they made these films, why they made these films, what happened when they made these films, and almost make it like the most in-depth, personal, documentary about all the people who made these movies and what they were going through.
Yeah. Just for the record, though, I did enjoy His Name is Jason, but I just felt like that little aspect was a little too much at times.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people did dig His Name was Jason, but we kind of, I don't know, creatively, I know a lot of us didn't come off very satisfied with that. And, some of the lessons and the response that we learned along the way, what was great with this one was we had all the right people together. It was me and Dan and Tommy, the producer, and Annette, our co-producer, and Buzz, our camera guy, and we kept it this core family. So everybody had the vision of what we needed to do and exactly how to make it. So there were no egos or any people coming and sort of pissing in the Kool-Aid, basically. And we finally got to make what we had always wanted to make with one of these things.
Mm-hmm. I liked about it that you guys spent an equal amount of time on each of the movies. It wasn't all about the first one and maybe the third one, and and you kind of just don't talk too much about some of the ones that weren't as good as the other ones. That you guys, it was a documentary about every single one of the movies.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to shortchange the fans. I mean, somewhere out there's a dude who really loves The Dream Child more than anything, So you don't want to. You don't want our motto is sort of no fan left behind on this one. So and to be honest, the weirdest reaction that we've got from everybody is people say that the movies that were their least favorite were the most entertaining ones in the documentary because. They pulled no punches when they, especially with Freddys Dead Freddy's Revenge and The Dream Child, they tear into it's like no holds barred with those people. They really tell you what they thought and what went down, and that's a lot more entertaining than, we made a movie and everything went fine and perfect and dandy and we loved it, and it's like, okay, great. I didn't learn anything from that, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought probably the segment on part 2 was the most comical. That was the funniest part of the documentary.
Oh, we were in the editing bay crying with laughter, piecing that thing together. And I mean, it was I could include all 8 hours of outtakes of just all the raw stuff of us talking, all the gay stuff with everybody, because those conversations were just absolutely hysterical and weird and bizarre, and I mean it was so hard to know what to leave in, because we originally cut that section, we went nuts, and it was an hour and a half of everybody talking about how gay it was, and we were okay, we gotta shave back a little bit, we just gotta keep it to the juiciest parts. Yeah. But I think we could have made a whole documentary on just the weird homoeroticism of part 2. Yeah. I think that would have been a blast to watch. But
yeah, the first time you saw part 2, could you see all that, or was it later on? Could you see all the gay undertones?
So the first time I saw it, I was a lot younger, so I was just kind of this is kind of lame, but then the second time I watched it, a little bit later in life, I my jaw just fell open. I was like, oh my, holy crap, this is gayer than hell, and in a weird way, it made me appreciate the movie more. It almost became I don't know, for some reason I've grown to really appreciate that one as time goes by. Just how fucking weird it is, and how bizarre and creepy that subtext is,
Mm-hmm. Were you surprised that they were so open about it? A lot of them were it was intentional, or did you think they did know about it, before you started interviewing them?
Well, it's funny because we interviewed a ton of people, right off the bat, and everyone was swearing up and down. Look, we didn't know. I mean, everybody acknowledges it now, but they're like, I swear to God, we had no clue. And after a while, we were all kind of getting frustrated and being like, okay, really? Come on. Somebody fessed up. This is getting ridiculous. Somebody had to have known. And then when the writer came in and was like, okay, I admit it. It's, it was my doing. It was subtext, but everybody, I think the general consensus was that you had this one screenwriter who had that little idea, and he was trying to keep it hidden, and then you had all these members that were, like, completely oblivious to what was going on, but you add in the fact that Mark Patton was an openly gay actor, and he picked up on it that things really got really out of hand with how much that was thrown up onto the screen, and like the production designer, as they say in the doc, that the production designer of the film was gay, and they were putting in little inside jokes and things like that, and I think when you watch it, that part 2 segment, I think it's pretty clear how it happened along the line by serendipity, of how all those elements came together from a small little gay subtext to the most homoerotic, sweaty male film ever made, So.
Just to let everybody know, too, I'll Mark Patton on in a couple weeks, so check that out. This should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark's a great guy. You'll have a blast with him.
Yeah. John?
Which one was your favorite from the Elm Street series?
1, 3, and 7, sort of the Nancy trilogy or the Heather Langenkamp trilogy was, I think those are the ones that spoke to me most. Part 3, Dream Warriors, I think was my favorite, just because just because of how imaginative it was and the crazy set pieces and everything. That was one of those kind of movies that I watched at a young age and was like, oh man, I want to make these kind of movies. This is just so crazy. So that for me, I mean, I guess that's a sort of an obvious choice from a lot of fans, but that really is my favorite, I think.
Mm-hmm. Do you prefer like the darker Freddy or the more comic Freddy?
It all depends. I do love the darker Freddy from 1 and 2. I think that works really well. I do love the comic Freddy from Part 3 a lot. I think it went off the rails after that, obviously, as did most people. But I'm not one of those people who really are of the minds that it hurt the series. It did hurt the series over time. But I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing when it first happened. Making him a little bit lighter and goofier in Dream Warriors. I think the black comedy worked perfectly in that movie. And of course, 4, 5, and 6, it got a little too much for sure. But but I'm not one of those people that hates the very notion of Funny Freddy.
Yeah.
And even then, I mean, even something like Freddy's Dead, I can find some sort of enjoyment from because of how hammy and funny and crazy Robert Englund is being. I mean, it's no matter how bad that original series got, it was never boring.
Yeah, he always looked like he was having fun anyway.
Yeah, it was kind of infectious that way,
Yep.
When you're making this and you're hearing about like the different like ideas they had for Freddys Dead or different scripts they had, was there anything that like stuck out? Like, man, I wish like this movie would have been made?
It's funny. I got to read Skip Inspector's draft of The Dream Child, which was the first draft, I guess, that they turned over. And I love that draft. Just reading it, it was very, very well done. And wish that if they had put, it was just the first draft and everything, but if they had made that script into a movie, and you could see little hints of it in the final product, but if they had done that, it would have been a killer Elm Street sequel. It would have been, at least on par with 1 and 3, I think, if they had gone with that script. But, as is the case with Hollywood, a lot of cooks come in and stuff gets rewritten, and they just didn't have a good grasp on that one. So it was just reading it. It was like, oh man, if they had made this, I would have killed to see this movie. And the Peter Jackson one too. We
talked about that one earlier. Yeah.
Yeah,
that just sounds
so cool.
awesome to me. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. I think it's so much better than what they ended up going with. I mean, at the time, of course, it probably was like, Peter who? You know, who cares that? But you know, I think that's. You hear about little movies that are getting developed. You know, movies that never happened, and I'm sure they're kicking themselves over that one right now. But yeah, that was a really cool concept. I don't know if it would have worked or not because you can never tell when things get developed. But I would have loved to see that one.
Yeah, I think it might have been on the extended interviews. There was one idea someone had for Freddy versus Jason where Freddy had drowned Jason as a kid, so he wouldn't tell on him that he was molesting him. I thought that would have been a pretty good idea for Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, that was a cool little that was a really good way to tie them in, I think. I haven't read a lot. I've read some of those Freddy versus Jason scripts, and some of them did get a little crazy and out there and a little convoluted, or there was too much going on. And I can understand why they went the route that they did for the final product. I mean, people argue whether or not that worked or not. But some of those ideas I would have been really cool to see explore, and that makes sense. Freddy is the camp counselor that molested Jason. I mean, that's, but again, that might have been too much at the time. I guess it's not too much now after the remake. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it does shy away from that topic.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the remake, the whole segment on the 2010 one is in the extras. It's not on the main documentary. Why'd you guys decide to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
how did we decide to do that?
Yeah, why did you decide not to have it on the main documentary part?
Because we felt that that as we were going along with the documentary, that in a way you've got the beginning of New Line, and then you've got the end of New Line as it was, of Bob Shaye's empire, and that seemed like the perfect bookends, to sort of encapsulate this whole, because the book has been closed on that legacy of Elm Street. As Elm Street, as we've all known it, that book is closed. Robert Englund's not going to play Freddy anymore. Wes Craven and Bob Shaye, none of those guys are involved with this stuff anymore. And New Line has moved on. It's no longer what it was. It's been absorbed into another company. So it just felt like that was the legacy, of the whole Robert Englund, Wes Craven era, and I'm tacking on something about the remake, which as you guys saw on the bonus disc, it was done without their input or permission, and nobody involved with the series was too happy about it. I think it would have lessened the impact of what this original series meant to all of us, and how it went down, and where it stands right now. Mm-hmm. Plus, his name was Jason. You had that 10-minute section where it's just talking heads talking about how awesome the remake's going to be.
Right.
Boy, did that turn out to be true.
Well, Willa Ford was good in it.
What's that?
I liked Willa Ford and her.
John was not a fan of that movie.
Yeah, I wasn't much of a fan of that anyway. I love Derek Mears in that flick. I thought he was pretty cool, and if they do make more, I hope he's the new Jason, or becomes the stalwart of that character. But I mean, based on that section, just every people talking, they're like, oh, it's going to be awesome, it's going to blow your mind. It just felt like the world's worst commercial. It felt like they were whoring themselves out to Platinum Dunes and the remake people, and oh, look at this, let's stop this documentary for 5 to 10 minutes while we talk about this random thing that nobody's ever seen before and how it's going to rock your world. That's all. At the time when we were making this, that's what it would have wound up being anyway. So there was really no point in getting all those guys, interviewing, Jackie and all those other people, involved with it, because nobody had seen it at that point, and who knows how it was going to turn out, Although based on Platinum Dunes' output, we had a pretty good idea. But
I applaud that decision.
I think it made a much better film too.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts of the remake?
Not a fan. Not a fan at all. I think they totally missed the point. You know, and I think, you know, I just, yeah, I'm just not, I'm not crazy about just the whole remake trend in general. So I guess I'm the wrong person to ask about that. I'm just, I don't see the point of remakes these days. So it's, but as an Elm Street film, it just didn't have any life. I didn't feel that it didn't have any imagination to it. And on top of that, okay, Freddy never killed any kids. Why does he have a razor glove on? He didn't have a boiler room that he was sleeping in, so why was there a boiler room in the dreams? Like every cool little thing that Wes meticulously plotted out in that first movie, they just threw all that stuff out and all the characters and everything like that, and they just had, you know, Freddy doing his thing and, you know, with all, you know, in his outfit, and nothing felt organic, nothing came together. It was just some emo kids getting, you know, stabbed every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's my thought, pretty much. I was not impressed.
Yeah, that sounded a lot like our review of it the other week. Another thing, too, was just even the special effects. I thought, like, in the original one, when he's coming through the wall, that's, like, one of the creepiest things and still looks great. And the new one, it just looked totally fake.
Oh, was that, like, totally, like, mid-90s CGI or what?
Yeah, it's like a sci-fi original Freddy.
Yeah. It was like the Haunting remake. I had flashbacks to that.
I was wondering if you made any attempts at getting Patricia Arquette for the documentary Never Sleep Again.
Yeah, we did. You know, it's as is the case with a lot of the higher people. You know, the schedules are a big issue. She's on her television show, and you know, for a lot of reasons, you know, maybe personal, maybe schedule-wise, you know, it's kind of like Part 4, you know, you'll never get a straight answer of why she didn't come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've reached out multiple times, you know, to her and to Depp, you know, and with these A-listers too, it's very tricky when you're a couple of indie guys running around with a camera, you know, like, hey, we want to interview you. And it's not, and a lot of times when it comes to these kind of things, they'll never know about it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Patricia or Johnny didn't, you know, knew that this, I'd be surprised if they knew that this existed. Because usually, those people have, like, all agents and publicity people around them, and, you know, they're very selective with what they do to them, you know. If you know, unless you're like a, you know, a giant studio with like a, you know, a $20 million offer or something, chances are you're just going to get blown off by, you know, one of their agents or publicity people. So, I mean, that's the hard reality. That's a hard nut to crack, you know, the bigger they are. So.
Did anybody turn down the offer to do the film?
Nobody. Here's the weird thing. All right, I mean, we've been doing these kind of documentaries for a really long time, and you know, especially Dan and I have been doing a lot of DVD stuff, you know, bonus features and retrospectives and all kinds of stuff. Usually there's tons of people involved with these movies, especially, you know, if you're, you know, with His Name Was Jason, a lot of people are like, oh, screw you, I'm embarrassed to be a part of this. How dare you even ask me, blah, 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 you know, I'm you know, high and mighty, shit like that. And are people who have, like, you know, are completely ashamed of it. With Nightmare, this isn't the case at all. Everybody wanted to talk about it. Everybody wanted to do it. You know, for a few, you know, there were those few people who just couldn't commit. They were too far away. They were too busy working, or, you know, something for some reason or another. It's just, they couldn't make it happen. But nobody flat out was like, no, I'm going to do this, which blew us away. You know, you never see something like that when you work in these kind of docs.
What I said earlier on the show, before you called in, was to me, like, the directors and the people that really seem passionate about the franchise for the most movies were a lot better than the ones that didn't really seem like they cared about the franchise. Would you agree with that?
I mean, from my experience on it, or my own outlook on it, I think everybody, even the directors of the worst sequels, I think they really cared about it. I think everybody, the writers, the directors, you know, Bob Shaye, all the people who find, they cared. They really cared about making these movies. And I mean, granted, sometimes they made the wrong decisions, or things just didn't go as planned, or, budget situations and this and that. But everybody had their hearts into it. I never got from a single person that they were like, whatever. They weren't passionate or into it. Like people like Stephen Hopkins were just dropped into these impossible scenarios sometimes where all they could do was like try and like hang on, and flew by the seat of their pants and like just trying to, keep it together and make their day at the end of the day, and hope against hope that something would make sense at the end of the day, when they put it all together. And sometimes it didn't. But everybody seemed really, really into it and really passionate and smart about it. And again, you can't really say that about, some of the remake people. I don't think, I don't think a lot of those guys cared about what they were making. As long as, hey, it's Nightmare on Elm Street, let's put it out in theaters and we'll make a shitload of money.
Yeah.
With everybody with the original series, everybody was gung-ho about it. And that's what was really refreshing to us.
We got a call here in the lines. Make a little bit of noise there. Paul, did you have a question?
Yeah. Hey, man. I was in grade 10 when the original came out, and I remember it really scared the crap out of me when I saw it. And I went to see, you guys already talked a little bit about the remake, but I found their use of computer-generated effects kind of ruined it for me. And I think I might have heard you talk about this, Jack or Neil, about when he was coming through the wall. Like, I forgot Johnny Depp was even in this movie, but I just watched the first half of the documentary today, and I saw the thing where Johnny Depp goes down through the bed, and if they would have done that with computer graphics, it just would have ruined it. And for me, it sort of breaks down even though it's a fantastical and crazy genre, like the computer graphics, for me, would have taken me completely out of the moment. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think as a lot of people see the documentary too, it's like the fact that we're doing this practically and that's the hook. That's why people love these movies, and it helps the actors and all that stuff. So you take that away and just put a bunch of artificial stuff, it just doesn't have the impact,
Yep. And something that I wanted to say, I love buying DVDs because you get all the extras. Like, I've got one of my favorite movies was Fast Boot, and I've watched it with all the different commentaries and everything, and I find I get more and more out of it. And with this, something like Robert Englund talking about the weight of the glove influencing the way that he did the character, that really helped with that's really helping with my understanding and enjoyment of the movie. Like, go to the store tomorrow and rent these again and start watching them. I haven't seen them. I saw them when they originally came out, but I haven't watched them since.
That's
so
yeah. There's pardon?
Like, for me as a viewer, I got a lot. Only the first half that I've seen so far, it's really made me excited about what I see, like the first 2 or 3 that you guys are talking about, and the way that you treat each movie as if each one is, you didn't go, yeah, the first one was great, oh, here's the crappy one. You sort of treat them all as if they're interesting, and they all are in their own ways. It's kind of excited me to want to go back again and watch them. You did a good job.
Okay.
Thanks for calling in, Paul.
Yeah.
Nice what? Nice what, dude. Take care.
Thank you so much for that comment. I mean, it's one of those things. When we set out to make this, we were very conscious about really diving into all those little aspects and those details, and not really, shortchanging any of that stuff. I mean, when you hear Robert talk about the character, and like you were saying, sort of the nuances of the glove and the, sort of the thoughts that were going on in everybody's head as they were crafting their character or the plot or everything. I mean, I think that's what sets this franchise apart from all the other ones, is everybody who was involved with these put a lot of thought into what they were doing. They were really, it wasn't a cheeseball horror film for anybody at all. They really wanted to inject as much imagination and intelligence and bring as much to it as they could. And I mean, even in the worst ones, I think that shows through in a way,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Robert Englund just you could tell like he really loves the character, and he's, there was an interview with him on Postmortem on FearNet, and the guy asked him, because I think he did something with when he made what was it?
Jack Brooks, Monster Slayer.
No. It was part 4 of Psycho, and he said that the guy kind of didn't like the Norman Bates character because he felt it ruined his career. But you don't see any of that with Robert Englund. I mean, he really loves the character.
Yeah, that's what's great about Robert, and what makes him, I think, really refreshing to work with, is that he's not one of those actors who's like, oh no, I'm going to be known as playing this character. Robert's like, dude, I'm known for playing Freddy. That's the coolest thing in the world. And I think Robert has found, of course there gets to be a point, I think, for any actor where, that gets to be a little too much. But I think Robert sort of carved out a great niche for himself over in Europe, with making European films, and he's a superstar over in Europe, and he'll constantly tell you about all his crazy adventures in Europe and this and that. I think he's pretty much serves as the model of any actor who is successful for something like that. I think that's the way all actors should be, not jaded. Robert embraces it. He embraces his fans. He talks about this stuff with as much excitement after 25 years as he did when he first started, And honestly, like, one of the coolest experiences for me was we went over to his place, and because we wanted to shoot Elm Street merchandise, all the weird, crazy Elm Street merchandise that was out there, Mm-hmm. And Robert has a huge collection of stuff that he's gathered from all over the world. So, I mean, we got there, and he's pulling stuff out left and right and digging through his cabinets and, excitedly running stuff out for our cameras, like, oh, you got to shoot this and light it from this angle, and oh, you got to get this. Oh, I remember I had this, and like running back and forth. And we're like, wow, this guy is just so into this. This is so nice, because there's so many people out there who are like, oh, woe is me, everyone's going to know me for this,
Right.
It's better to be known for something than nothing,
Yeah. Did you yourself have a collection of Freddy merchandise?
I don't really have much of a Freddy collection, so to speak. I have a Battlestar Galactica collection.
Oh, all right.
See what a guy I am, but I have I do have that little Freddy doll, that talking Freddy doll from the I guess it was the first one they put out, because I just find that so weird. And even Bob Shaye had that in his office when he went in there. That was like the one Freddy thing he had in the corner.
Yeah.
So that's my one little piece of Freddy merchandise. I think it's pretty cool. I
actually have that doll, and it's spring worn out, and it's like it talks really fast now. So.
Oh, that's got to be even creepier.
Yeah, it says, my name is Rudy. It's insane.
Welcome to Elm
Welcome to Elm Street.
I don't know if John wants to tell this enough, but actually one of the first times I ever talked to him, and he sent me a picture where he dressed up as Freddy when he went to see Freddy vs. Jason.
I got an applause from one girl in the audience, and I shot her a mean look. So.
Nice.
I was a short, fat Freddy that night.
How much fun was it to talk to Clu Gulager?
Oh, Clu is just amazing. He's the kind of guy who there's this little grindhouse theater that Quentin Tarantino owns in Los Angeles called the New Bev, and it's like the greatest place in the world. And we all go out there every Friday night, for whatever crazy double they have. And Clu Gulager is always in the front row. He never misses a show. I'm convinced that he lives in like the little loft above the theater. But that guy, I mean, he's lived an incredible life, and he's so gung-ho about cinema, and anytime you talk to him about what you're doing or what your plans are, he gets so unbelievably excited and full of energy, because he's just so into all of this stuff. And then when we got into the part 2 stuff, we're like, okay, I don't know where he stands on this. Are we going to have to like tread carefully with Clu or something like that? About this gay. The second the gay stuff opened up, he's making blowjob jokes. Just L.A. in us, you know. And I think he steals the show on the Part 2 section. I almost wish he was in it a little bit more. But Clu is... If you live in L.A. and you work in this business, or you even go to the New Bev Theater on a Friday night, you know Clu. You know how awesome he is, and he's just a piece of history, you know.
Yeah, he's definitely the man.
What's that?
I just said he's the man.
He is. He is the man. He is the man that we all worship and look up to. He's like the godfather of the grindhouse circuit, you know. So he's the best. I can't say enough good things about Clu.
Yeah. Did you ever have any interaction with his son John?
With his son? Yeah, I know John Gulager and Diane. Yeah, and all the Feast people pretty much are all friends. You know, Marcus and Patrick. You know, everybody who it was kind of weird because I watched Project Greenlight. You know, season 3. But the guys were on it. And that was before I moved out to L.A. And then I moved out to L.A. First people that I meet and, like, befriend and are hanging out with are all those guys. It was like stepping out of the East Coast and into the West Coast, and instantly you're on a reality show, you know? Feel like you're in, like, the fourth season or something, and there's some cameras following you around or something like that. But those guys are cool, and they're real, like, they're actually, like, a tight family that just go out and make shorts and are really into what they're doing, and you know, it's really cool, and they hold screenings from time to time of their work, and but the whole Gulager clan is just awesome.
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite interviews we've had was John Gulager, a really funny guy, and probably like the sleaziest giggle I've ever heard, and I mean that in a good way. John, do you have a question?
Yeah, I gotta ask the question. Who was Leslie Dean's buddy? Who was that? Okay,
I don't know. None of us know, and we're still trying to figure that out to this day. We had Leslie Dean was in Texas, and we called on this Texas guy to shoot her interview. And so he goes off and he shoots it, and he says, oh, you're gonna love it, it's great. We get the tape back. We pop it in the editing system, and we see Leslie Dean gossed out with like her bondage slave girl sitting on her lap, and she's like stroking her hair, and the human pet doesn't do anything but like stare into the camera the whole time, and like it was one of those things like where everybody in the room like it was just stunned silence for about a minute because none of us knew what to say, and then finally we just started laughing because it was just like, okay, you know what? Screw it. This is Freddys Dead. You know, it's not a weird movie as it is. You know, Leslie wants to go all out and do her thing. Why not? You know, it'll give people something to talk about. And boy, are people talking. You know.
Yeah, it's definitely a very memorable scene. I remember when she just popped up. And then actually, after a while, I just, you don't even notice it. You just listen to what she's saying.
Yeah, you come to accept the bondage slave pet, you know. So it's very strange.
A lot of it's almost kind of a documentary on New Line too. Has Bob Shaye has he seen it? Has he told you if he liked it or not?
I don't know. I know Heather gave Bob a copy. I don't know if he's had time to watch it yet. Bob's a busy guy, so I don't know if I don't know when he's going to get around to seeing it. I hope he likes it, and because it's certainly we kind of modeled it to be sort of a while it is Nightmare on Elm Street, I guess our idea was that as a whole it's about New Line. It's about how this influenced New Line. It's about the beginning and the end of New Line, and I hope we did that justice, So I'm really curious to see what he'll think about it.
Yeah. Was Wes Craven was he up for talking about like the sequels he didn't have anything to do with?
Yeah, no, he totally got into it with Wes. You could spend 4 hours talking with him, and obviously with any big interview like that, you're very limited as far as what you press for time. It's like, oh, you only got an hour to ask him about all 7 movies. You gotta keep your questions, get all the important ones out of the way. But we managed to get a few sequel questions in there, and of course we even asked him about the remake, which we were a little nervous asking him about that, but he was more than open to discuss them and be honest about it, and I think with everybody when we sat them down, we're like, look, this isn't a studio piece. This isn't, don't worry about, soft pedaling anything. Speak your mind. That was the only direction we gave anybody. So, and for the most part, people spoke their minds. So that was kind of refreshing.
Mm-hmm. Has he seen the finished project?
What's that?
Do you know if he saw the finished project?
I don't know. I don't think he's seen it yet, because he's really busy on Scream 4 right now.
Right.
I hope he gets around to watching it, and I really would like to hear his thoughts about it. We've heard from a couple of people so far. I hear Robert saw it and really did it, and that's cool. So yeah, I hope to hear from both Wes and Bob. I hope they enjoy it, and yeah, I'm anxious to hear their thoughts.
Did you New Nightmare? I always thought was probably the most underrated one. I guess a lot of people on the internet likes it, but I don't know. It's totally different. What are your thoughts on that one?
Oh, I loved New Nightmare, and I think that was the testament to the kind of place New Line was as far as taking chances and doing that kind of thing, because it's the kind of movie that you've never seen before or since. Making this weird postmodern horror movie where all these studio executives and actors are playing themselves and talking about the phenomena and everything like that. That was a bold move. I mean, in these days, there's no way any studio would ever back that kind of an idea. And it was really ahead of its time, and I love New Nightmare. I think it's actually a work of genius on Wes's part. So that stands up as one of my favorites for sure.
John?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was a full version to Tuesday's Night's song at the beginning of Nightmare 4.
A full version of it?
Yeah, I've never found a full version of it.
Huh? I'm not sure if there was. I didn't know that there was a full version wasn't out there. I know she was talking about maybe doing a new version of it or something or other. My memory's a little fuzzy there. I think had we had more time and money, we would have liked to, I don't know, do a music video or something.
That'd be cool.
There's a big wish list of fans, stuff that you want to do or stuff that you want to shoot, but for time purposes.
Yeah. Out of all the directors, which one did you find the most entertaining?
Renny Harlin was my favorite.
Yeah.
Just to talk to, I think Renny was. I don't know. He was just so energetic and so much fun, and his stories about sort of the rags to riches of how he started off in a crappy little hotel and how it made his career and all that stuff. It gave me almost a newfound appreciation for Part 4 and definitely just a newfound appreciation for Renny. And we were just having a blast, just cutting up the whole time, and nothing was off limits with that guy. And he's just a funny, crazy, wild Finnish man, and I love him to death. He definitely was the biggest surprise, I think, out of all the directors that we brought in.
Yeah, I just loved how just how honest he was when he's talking about the scene with he's telling the women for cinematic purposes and deep meaning they had to take off all their clothes, and then he's just I just thought that's just what the kids wanted to see, and I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, Renny tapped into something with that. He was right when he responded to that movie when it came out. So of course he's like, yes, we need more boobs. And hey, that's he embodied what that average, hornball, teenage, red-blooded American male wanted to see at the time, and so he, I love how unpretentious and cool that guy is,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could shoot the shit with Renny for hours. He's so much fun.
That's what I really like about the DVD, though. The whole documentary is there's so much about all the movies, and it's a lot of fun while you're watching it too. It's not tedious, or it's just a good time watching it.
Thank you. That was the hardest thing. It's just making it, taking hundreds of hours of footage and making it into this 4-hour thing where it's constantly moving, where it doesn't feel like it's overlapping, or people are talking about the same thing, or it gets, you just get tired of one person or another, and that was, it was mind-bending to try and do that and to get it just right, but and even then we were like, is anybody going to sit through this, but people are, and that's a great feeling. So
I don't want to give too many spoilers away from the DVD because everyone should really go out and get it. But someone makes a little cameo in there from the Clerks movies. Like, how did you get him to do it?
That was, and I won't say who it is because I don't want to spoil the gag.
Yeah.
But there was a running joke on set, and I'm sure a running joke between anybody who's seen Freddy versus Jason regarding a character, and we're like, oh, wouldn't it be great if the real guy came on, and and somebody on set was like, well, I know him, so we just a couple phone calls were made, and bam, it happened. So we got it in front of our green screen, and that's, as a fan, that's something that I would, we didn't get a whole lot of actors from that movie because they're Canadian. And we even tried to set up a Canadian crew and all that kind of stuff. But it was just very hard to get a hold of people from that movie. But I think that made up for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's not a lot of it. There's just a little segment there about Siskel and Ebert, and something I actually it's kind of fun to do is go on YouTube and find old Siskel and Eberts and watch them, and they get really mad about a lot of those slasher films from the 80s. Are you surprised how serious they took those movies?
It was very bizarre. If you go back and watch sort of Roger Ebert and rantings on 80s horror movies, because it was almost like he was offended by the idea of them. But this is also a guy who, before and since then, has kind of one of the only mainstream critic who's been a champion of horror films, I saw Dawn of the Dead because I read Ebert's review. He was saying that was one of the greatest movies ever made, so I went out and I rented Dawn of the Dead when I was young, and it was just ooh, So, and of course there's lots of horror movies today that he really gets behind and that he loves.
He really liked Devil's Rejects, and that I like the movie too, but it's really hardcore.
Yeah, he gave that movie a great write-up and took a lot of shit for it too. And it's, I think he's a smart guy who knows good horror when he sees it. It's just weird that in that 80s period, he was, it was like he was championing everything from Dawn of the Dead to Halloween and all this kind of stuff at the time, in the all the way up to the 70s. But when the 80s came along, he was it's almost like he's in prude mode, and he's just and just disgusted at the notion of horror films. Mm-hmm. But he's come back around to it, I think, which is cool. But we had to we at least had to get that little dig in because of how vicious he was being towards Nightmare 3, which is really tame if you think about it by today's, the fact that, anybody would have gotten, been out of shape over the violence in Dream Warriors, which is cartoonish as it gets.
Yeah.
God, if you'd shown him today, he would have had a heart attack.
Mm-hmm. I forget which. It was one of the Friday the 13th, and I watched on YouTube, and I think it was on your other documentary, and he's saying how bad it was, and that teenagers would see it, and they'd think this was what life was, and I was just thinking what person would watch Friday the 13th part 3 or 4, whatever it was, and think this is what life is all about.
Yeah, it's that stupid argument that I think holds no basis. About horror movies being bad, and it contributing to the downfall of our culture and all that horse shit. I think Wes even calls out that kind of stuff on the DVD bonus disc, if I'm not mistaken, where he just says, "Yeah, I've looked into all that. It's all bullshit." it's one of those things. Like even right down to the MPAA. Why try and censor and protect people from Friday the 13th Part 6? People know what those movies are. They know exactly what kind of enjoyment they get out of them, and if you don't get it, then sorry, you lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom used to take me because my brother's 9 years older, so she would take me along too to the movies. Drive-in, I went to see Night of the Living Dead when I was 6 or something. And, I've never killed anybody or thought about it. It's all good.
And I mean, here's the thing too. Like in the entertainment industry, the horror movie business. This is why we all love working in it, because everybody who works in the horror industry are the nicest, coolest, down-to-earth people you could ever hope to meet, and they're also the ones who are the most passionate about making movies. They're not into it for the money, They're into it because they grew up on this stuff and they love it. There's lots of people like Joe Lynch and Adam Green and all those folks who are running around who are just gung-ho about what they're doing. They're not there for a paycheck, They're doing it because they want to help further the genre. We were the Fangoria kids. We grew up reading this stuff and loved it and wanted to be a part of it and keep the movement alive, And that's the most fun, cool environment to be in, For every other part of the entertainment industry is miserable. You've got all these freaking vacuous people who are running around, talking about money and screwing each other over and backstabbing and this and that. And you get into the horror, you get into the horror circles, and they're as genuine as you can get. Nice, honest, fun people who, are all thinking like you. So that's why I love it.
Yeah, and both of those guys, you can listen to interviews over on our website. For everybody out there listening for the first time, Adam Green twice, good guy. But we want to know about the stop motion animation, who did that.
Oh, how awesome is that stuff?
I love that. I'm a big fan of stop motion animation.
Yeah, we loved it too, and we didn't think that that would have been even a possibility, but through some several odd twists of fate, Dan got a hold of this guy from Robot Chicken, who was a big Elm Street fan, and he just Michael Granberry is his name. He was turning shots. He would do one of those shots every night and turn it over to us, just like at lightning speed. And every morning we were just, our jaws were on the floor, like, oh, this guy is a genius. Mm-hmm. And I think that added so much more to this documentary. I think it really elevated it beyond a typical Talking Heads thing. And I think a lot of people have just commented like, yeah, I just watched through all 4 hours just because I wanted to see what stop motion sequence would come on next, So that work is absolutely brilliant, and he's got some short films that he's made and that he's making, and that guy's just super, super talented. We were blessed to find him.
Yeah. I love that stuff. When I was a kid, I love all the Ray Harryhausen movies, so I was really happy to see those in your movie.
Yeah, and it kept with that old school spirit, I think, of the doc and those movies that we were trying to get across,
Mm-hmm. 720 area code. Who is this?
Hey, man, it's Freddy Fingers.
Okay, hey, Freddy. Were you calling? Oh, someone was calling earlier. They hung up. But Freddy, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I wanted to talk about him about the second actor they got instead of Robert Englund in Part 2.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't know who to this day I don't know what that guy's name was, and nobody ever said it when we were making it.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, I don't know who he is or where they got him, or that guy seems to be sort of a mystery, It's, God, I hope he doesn't see the documentary, man. He'll probably break down crying.
I hear that, definitely, man.
That was pretty mind-boggling to even think that they just thought, well, let's just get someone else to play Freddy. It's just a guy in a mask.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, and he had no characteristics.
Yeah, it was pretty stilted. I mean, it was one of those things I never really picked up on before, but when everybody mentions it and you see that one shot in the movie, it's like, oh God, it's bad.
It probably would have been the end of the franchise. What were you saying, Freddy?
It would have.
Yeah.
Pretty Fingers, are you on the boards?
No, I'm on a wireless. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
No, I think you meant...
The message boards. Your name sounds familiar to me.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He wanted to know if you're on the message boards.
The message boards, I don't know about that exactly. I haven't signed up without your head off, but you can catch you up on Freddy Fingers on Facebook, guys, and you guys have a good night, all right?
All right, thanks, man.
Take care,
Hey, much
Freddy.
love, man. Long live Freddy.
Excellent.
Long live
Later.
Freddy. I figured I knew that guy. He's on Facebook. I think he posts on our Never Sleep Again page or something.
Yeah, I've seen him too. He's on our Facebook, so most likely. I don't think he quite understood what you were asking. But well, again, you get you go to ElmStreetLegacy.com. You can get it off Amazon.com too. But why would you get it off there when you can get it off ElmStreetLegacy.com and get yourself a free autograph poster?
Exactly, signed by the lovely Miss Langenkamp.
Mm-hmm. Just real quick, like people, how much does it hurt, like this kind of movie or other people's movies, when people like decide to download them instead of buying the DVD?
Oh man, it's don't get me started on internet piracy. I mean, I think anybody in the business really hates that. And it's especially worse when it's some indie guys who are who aren't a big studio who are really trying to get this out there. And it does. If internet piracy affects what we're doing, then cool stuff like this will just stop happening. And I think that's largely why cool stuff has stopped happening. Why you're seeing just a glut of studio-produced remakes, and why indie stuff is going down, because it's hurt the market for this stuff. So yeah, just don't cheap out. Support the real thing. Support the independent effort, and get it offline or in stores or off eBay or wherever you can get it.
Mm-hmm. And it's really affordable too. It's not like you're gonna go broke buying it. And all the hard work into it's best to support it and help the guys out who made it.
Yeah, and I think even for $30, it's I don't think there's anybody who hasn't felt like they didn't get their money's worth with this thing. So that's that's always good.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. This was a blast.
Cool. Hoping to keep you too long.
No worries.
All right.
Hey, this is Alan Troutman, and you are listening to WithoutYourHead.com. I don't know how you can listen without your head, but there you are.
Hi, this is Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.